Hey, Flo, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me, Omar.
My pleasure. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you?
It's going to sound cheesy, but I really like Winston Churchill's, if you're going through hell, keep going.
A great one for any startup founder. So, for people who aren't familiar with Lindy, can you tell us what does the product do? Who is it for? And what's the main problem you're helping to solve?
We are a no-code platform helping you build AI agents to automate workflows. The problem it solves, think of an AI agent as like an AI intern. Like soon it will be an AI employee that can do anything for you. For now, it's an AI intern that can do like simple things for you. Some of the things that people find it the most useful for are sales. So like prospecting, outreaching, qualifying leads, support. Like you can deploy like a chatbot on your website. You can respond automatically to your support emails, like check order statuses and so forth. And personal assistance, like meeting scheduling, meeting recording, meeting prepping, and so forth. We're typically used by SMBs. So startups call it like 5 to 100 people, mostly in tech.
Cool. And give us a sense of the size of the business. Where are you in terms of revenue, customers, size of team?
Yeah, we're like high seven figures of revenue. We are 35 employees plus like 5 or 8 contractors.
And you have raised, you were just telling me 52 million, right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So we'll talk about like where the idea came from for Lindy, but maybe let's just talk a little bit about your background before then. So, at one point you were working as product guy at Uber, and then you initially launched a product called TeamFlow.
TeamFlow, that's right.
Yeah. So tell us about that. What did the product do, and what led you to sort of starting that business?
Yeah, so after Uber, I took a break for 6 months. The pandemic broke out, so I was like stuck at home like everybody else. And I'm a nerd, and so what I do when I'm stuck at home is I code and build stuff. And I started building this thing, and at first it was not even because of the pandemic. It was just a cool idea. I was like, oh, like imagine like a spatial zoom. So it's like you can see your video in like a bubble, in like a circle, on like a two-dimensional canvas, like think almost like Figma or like The Sims, because you could build like the canvas yourself. And you can move around on that canvas like in a video game, and you can hear and be heard by people around you. So then people can dial in to this space. It's like a virtual space where you can hang out with people and all of that stuff. And so I was just hacking that. Initially, it wasn't even as a business idea. I was like, oh, this is so cool, and I can hang out in this space with my friends. And then it dawned on me. I was like, wait, like the pandemic is a thing. I was like, wait a minute, I hadn't thought of that. And every team was a remote. And I knew that remote work was awful. It was just like really hard to collaborate with remote work. So that's when I saw the angle. I was like, like remote work, like this is like a virtual office. And things were going really well at first because of the pandemic. So everybody was going remote. Everybody was looking for a solution. So we took off really rapidly. And then people returned to the office, and you could literally see the waves of COVID. You know this graph, like there were like multiple waves of COVID. You could literally see the waves of COVID on our growth chart. It was just like you could overlap them. It was the same curve. And then when COVID went down and people basically returned to the office, the growth slowed down massively. Like we were basically flat. And so that's when we realized that there was no market there, and we pivoted to Lindy.
Right. So tell me about where the idea came from for Lindy initially.
So I was always super into AI, like before even GPT-2. When GPT-2 came out, I was super excited about it, and then GPT-3, and then the GPT-3 API came out. And because we had this, effectively, it was a video conferencing tool, we built a meeting recorder. And we used GPT-3 to summarize the meetings that were recorded. And then the sales team came to me and they were like, Flo, I would love if this thing could not just summarize my meetings, but also update my Salesforce for me. I hate updating my Salesforce every day. It takes me so much time. And we were like, sure, I can't see why not. And so we used the GPT-3 API to just extract stuff to update the Salesforce entity with. And then little by little, we just built it in a more and more generalizable fashion. So at first, it's like, okay, it's Salesforce. Now it can be any field on Salesforce. Oh, but now we're going to release it to customers, and some of them don't use Salesforce. They use HubSpot. So now it can be any field on Salesforce or HubSpot. And that can be any field on any CRM. Oh, what if it could also create tasks on Linear? And so we just keep climbing up this ladder of abstraction until we're like, wait a minute. And we built this framework. And it was before ChatGPT. We built this framework and we realized, like, wait a minute, like LLMs can actually do stuff. Not just extract text or summarize text or generate stuff. They can do stuff. And so that's when this vision of the AI employee came together. And then ChatGPT came out, LangChain came out. We were actually in very, very early touch with Harrison Chase from LangChain when it was just him and like a GitHub library. He still had a job. And so like early 2023, we decided to hard pivot to Lindy. And man, we were like a team of 50 plus at the time. I had to let go of 2/3 of the team. I had to fire the entire go-to-market team, which was ridiculously painful and one of the most painful parts of my career as a founder. And we went down and started to build this new vision.
So, what was the landscape like at that point? I mean, today you go online if you can, like when the internet is not down, like we were talking about today. And it kind of seems like overnight everybody is talking about they build AI agents, right? It's this term that you just can't gonna get away from. What was the landscape like when you initially pivoted and started Lindy?
So people weren't really talking of AI agents back then. People were talking, if you remember, of generative AI. It was generating text, it was generating images. People were not talking yet about video. It was not generating videos yet. And so I was like, look, this is all good, but the GDP is not made of copywriters or illustrators. It's made of work and actions. So I wanted to build agentic AI, not generative AI. And the landscape was Adept, which since then has been acquired by Amazon, and LangChain. That's basically it. And then there was like Llama Index a little bit, but that was basically it.
Okay, great. So tell me a little bit about it. So you've kind of built this product. You talk mostly about doing sort of meeting summarization, updating some of tools like CRM. How did you sort of go about launching the product and finding those initial customers?
We put out a demo, which at first was almost more like a vision statement. So it was like, hey, we're Lindy, we're working on this new cool thing. Here's what it's looking like. And we had prototypes. Some of that was like Figma prototypes. Some of that was working prototypes. And we released the video on Twitter. And I think that was March 2023. And we acquired a wait list of 70,000 people. That's how we started in the very beginning.
So let's talk about a bit about that, because you've built quite a following on Twitter or X, and a lot of that was before you started Lindy, right?
Yes, I've got like a little bit of a following now, like nothing crazy, but I always tell people two things. Like one, if you're not on Twitter, you are missing out on like the biggest party in human history. Like you have to be on Twitter. It is my biggest career asset, apart from like my company, but like before my company, it was like my biggest. I would have, if you'd asked me, you have a choice between quitting your job, and wiping your LinkedIn. It's like you never were at your job, which was Uber, was also like a good company, or like destroying your Twitter account. I would have picked to destroy my job experience, like no doubt, no question, easy. And then the second question and the second thing I always tell people is they ask me, how do you go about building the Twitter following? And I always say it's a little bit like enlightenment. It's like if you seek it, you cannot get it. It's you don't overthink it. Just tweet all day. Go after volume. Go after quantity more than quality. There is no such thing as a tweet with negative views. So by definition, every tweet gets you more attention. And just tweet all day. Tweet about anything that crosses your mind. Anytime you are in a meeting, anytime you hear something interesting or something funny, just tweet about it. And embrace the fact that you're going to get it wrong and it's going to take you 6 or 12 months to find your voice. You're going to be cringe and bad for the first 6 or 12 months, and it does not matter. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about you. The worst thing that can happen is that you get no visibility. It's not even that people will forget about the bad stuff that they saw about you. It's that they literally won't even see it. They literally won't even be aware of it. So the only world where people are aware of you is a world where you're good.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. So when you say like tweet all day, like what are we talking about? Like How frequently were you, or how many times a day were you posting?
I actually once had a script that was running on my server that would every day send me a notification, like an email saying, hey, you've tweeted X times today. And my objective was 20 times a day. So that gives you a feel. And it sounds like a lot, but like some of these tweets are like brain farts. Like my most successful tweet, so that's another thing I've learned, is like, there is this quote I love that's like, nobody knows anything. It's like a very famous movie star or director who spent his career making movies. And it's like, no one knows anything. You've spent 30 years of your life making movies. You still don't know whether a movie is going to work out or not. So it's just optimized for number of swings of the bat is what Mark Andreessen calls it. And so some of my most successful tweets, like there was one of them in particular, I was literally in vacation with my girlfriend. I was on the beach in Hawaii. We were like wrapping up. It was like there was like a towel on the beach. She's like, all right, let's go home. I was like, okay, sounds good. Oh, I just had an idea for a funny tweet. And literally, she was like wrapping up the towel. I like pick up my phone. I tweet the tweet. It took me 30 seconds. It was a brain fart. I was like, ah, this is funny. All right, let me finish wrapping up. That tweet went crazy viral. Was one of my most successful tweets ever. It's brain farts. Just tweet anything that's on your mind.
And do you think for somebody who is on Twitter or X today and doesn't have a lot of followers, hasn't tweeted a lot, and maybe they've been on the platform for a few years, but they haven't done much with it, is it still worth them investing time to do that?
Absolutely. There's new accounts coming out all the time that like in the span of 6 months pick up to like hundreds of thousands of followers. I will say that the cold start problem is real. I've been on Twitter like 17 plus years at this point, so I don't really remember how I cold started my account. I think the typical piece of advice that people give is be like the reply guy. And you want to be like mindful about it and stuff. But yeah, like if you bring value to people and people's replies, and I think the best way to bring value is to be funny. Honestly, just be funny. Um, then you can cold start your account.
Yeah, cool. Okay, great. So you've obviously invested years building this audience. What was the? It was just like a video you posted of the kind of like what Lindy was about, or the vision of this business.
It was just a video. It was like me talking to a camera. Again, I think one thing that you have to be on Twitter is authentic. Just very authentically me talking to a camera. I was like, "Hey, I'm Flo. I'm founding Lindy. This is the product. It's pretty sweet. Sign up to the waitlist."
Okay, great. So that sounds like a super promising start. And then, were you charging for the product like from day one?
Yeah.
And I forgot to ask you, did you raise any money? Like at what point did you raise your first round?
Well, it's complicated because Lindy is a pivot from TeamFlow. So it's the same legal entity. So we'd raised a lot of that money for TeamFlow.
How much did you raise for TeamFlow?
Well, 50 plus million.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you raised most of that at that point.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, cool. So, all right. So, well, great. But there's also a lot of pressure comes with raising that kind of money, right?
But look, the pressure comes from within. It's not like the investors are calling me every day. It's like, where's my money? It's like, look, if you've raised money, you've got an obligation to your shareholders. And I think, frankly, your first obligation is to not spend it. Until you've got a good use for the capital, until you know that you can deploy it effectively, don't spend it. And so that's what I did for TeamFlow. We raised a lot of money and I didn't spend it. And to this day, we've got the vast majority of the money in the bank, and the investors were grateful. They're like, yeah, thanks for not spending the money until you could put it to good use.
So what happened next? So you got these people on the wait list. You launched the product. What happens?
Well, we start taking people off the wait list. We invite them to the product. It goes wrong. The product doesn't work. It's not easy enough to use. It doesn't retain. And so from there, it's just iteration. Just iteration. Like, look, the YC adage is really good and true. It's just build something people want. And the way you do that is you talk to your users and you do what they tell you to do, basically. And it's that simple. And I think the trap not to fall into here is like, by the way, it's not even a trap. Sometimes it works. It's like, I do still think you should have a vision. So you should have like a weak inductive bias towards a certain direction. I call it like climbing the Everest. So like, you want to go to the top of the Everest. You're looking for base camp along the way. You can't go straight to the top. if you find a base camp that's like on some other mountain, you don't go there. It's not where you want to go. Some people do, and it works out for them. It's like the whole like lean startup thing. It's like, oh, fuck the vision, just do whatever the market wants. I think that's a miserable existence. I think like as a founder, you need to find meaning in what you do, and so I think you do need that vision. And yeah, just talk to your users and build what they need.
I talk to a lot of founders who are, when they're at that stage, they're reluctant to ship the product. And the argument that I hear is, well, I'm going to get one shot at building credibility with my market. And so I need to make sure that this is right. And what happens inevitably is like this thing drags on for months and months. So just to reassure maybe somebody who's in that situation, who maybe thinks the world is going to end if their first version of the product is shit. Why is that not something a big deal as it may seem?
I really love what's his name, Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn founder. Like that quote from him that goes, "If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you launched too late. You want to confront your idea to reality ASAP. Like, I don't know anything about your idea. All I know about it is that it's wrong. And that's all you can know about it. It's wrong. And so the only way you want to find out how wrong is, in what way, is ASAP. And the way you do that is by shipping it and confronting it to reality. That's it. If you look at the V1, which you can find, you look at the V1 of Uber online, or Airbnb, or Facebook, or Reddit, or any of these websites, it was embarrassingly bad. It was barely working. So, and nobody remembers, nobody gives. I think people greatly overestimate how much of a shit other people give about them.
Yeah.
I forgot who it is who said, I think it's Naval Ravikant who said the difference between the first-time founder and the second-time founder is the first-time founder is got that mindset. He basically operates under the assumption that people care about them. And so they're like hush hush about their idea. That's one thing that like my pet peeve is like founders who are like in stealth mode. I mean, also, by the way, I think it's ridiculous to be in stealth mode in public, but it's ridiculous, let alone at like a dinner table. It's like, bro, there's like 6 of us. We're not going to steal your idea. We're very busy. Just tell us, and probably your idea is wrong anyway. So just tell us about your ideas. So we can give you feedback. And it's like, I can't tell you. My idea is like this precious little stuff. Like, you have no idea how genius it is. It's like, if your idea is what protects you, then you're in bigger trouble anyway. So anyway, yeah, like just look at the startups, assume that nobody cares about you, and be the second-time founder who basically appreciates that nobody cares about them. Startups die by not making noise. No startup has died by making too much noise. Just make as much noise as possible. Cry your idea off the rooftops and hope that someone gives somewhere.
When you said the product was not very good, can you give me an example of like what kind of problems users were experiencing?
Oh, I mean, it was embarrassing. It was like, like the agent would, like we gave this demo that was like, look, I can recruit with my AI agent. So I'm going to ask my AI agent, like, find me 50 software engineers in San Francisco. And then it finds the software engineers. And then you're like, cool, now send them an email to like tell them to join my startup. So then it sends them an email. And people would try that. And it would send an email to 50 software engineers, too. It's a lot. From you. And it would say something like, the email body would say something, the user wants me to send an email to 50 software engineers. Like, that's the email that people received.
And so like, what was happening? Like, were those initial customers, were they people you knew? They were just random people who saw the post on Twitter? And like, how forgiving were they when things like that happen with the product?
Surprisingly forgiving. Very forgiving. Look, I think people self-select. They know they're signing up to like a random demo that they saw on Twitter. So the vast majority of these customers were not people I knew. Almost disappointingly so, actually. Like I could barely get my own friends to sign up to this thing. I'm like, why won't you use my product? And yeah, I mean, like when these things would happen, look, yeah, sometimes they're pissed, But my biggest fear was actually, perhaps selfishly, that they would post about it on Twitter. And as far as I know, no one ever did. Ever. Like, we've got many users, like many figures of many users. And to my knowledge, that's never happened. There's been one guy who posted on Twitter that he was mad that we've cost money. Like, so you're gonna get those guys, But no, they're surprisingly forgiving. It's like I was mortified. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, let me refund you. And they were like, no, don't worry, it's fine. Ha ha ha, it's funny. Yeah.
When we were talking earlier, you also said there was a vision gap, that when people would come to Lindy.ai, they would have a certain idea in their mind of what they were going to get. And when they actually signed up for the product, it was very different, right? So aside from the problems, what was the gap between the vision and the reality of the product at that time?
Well, the vision's always been to build an AI employee. And that's compelling in and of itself. Like, even for investors, it's like, duh. Like, yeah, if you can do it, which that's the if, people will want it. There's no if of will people want it. It's just pure execution risk. And it's funny the extent to which people buy the vision, not just investors. People sometimes also buy the vision, meaning they literally buy it. They give you money for the vision. They're like, this is the vision, this is the product, and then they're like, here, take a couple $100 a month, and I wanna see what happens. I wanna experience the early stages of this vision, which I think is also my point about why are people so forgiving, because they know what they're signing up for again, and they self-select. It's like very early cohort of very early adopters. They're really pioneers. And that's the cohort that you want, and that's the cohort you're going to get naturally. You don't need to worry about it. That's the cohort that, if you're like a mechanic, you can give it like a new piece of a new engine that you've designed. And it's oily, it's disgusting, it's half broken, but that's the cohort that can get their hands dirty and touch your piece of that engine and be like, oh yeah, I can see it. I can see it through the slime and disgusting grossness and brokenness of it all, and I can see what you're going for here. Um, Yeah, so there was this gap, and I think the fact that people bought that vision gave us the rope that we needed to carry it through, and took us a year and a half or 2 years.
How did you position the product? Like, it's, I mean, 2 years ago doesn't sound like a long time, but in the world of AI, it probably is. And when you sort of describe it in terms of like workflow, what do people know? They might know like Zapier, and so some people might assume it's kind of like that. Other people may kind of hear the vision and think it's something much more than it actually is today. Like, so how easy or hard was the kind of the positioning and kind of having clear messaging for people in terms of what Lindy was and where it fit in the market?
I wouldn't call it hard, because once you understand the framework, it's not that hard. So basically, the framework. There's a book about this that's called Positioning: The Battle for Your Mind. I believe the author's name is Al Rise. And the analogy he uses for positioning is, you want to position against what already exists in the prospect's mind. So he uses this analogy of Velcro. It's like Velcro, the way it looks and works, if you zoom in, is you've got hooks and loops. You've got hooks that just grab onto the loops, and that's how it sticks. And so it's like, there's these two sides, and the hooks exist in the prospect's mind. They are things that are already there. You cannot position in a vacuum. You've got to be mindful of what already exists there, and you've got to design your loops around these hooks. You can't just be this new thing. And what we did, and from a positioning standpoint, what started working is we started to position actually ourselves against Zapier. There's this other framework from April Dunfield that's also called positioning, that I really recommend. And she does recommend basically picking your positioning in a way that puts you in the best light. So our first positioning was AI employee. Why does it put us in the best light? Well, employee already exists. You know what an employee is. And it puts you in the best light because it's so obvious in which way an AI is better than a human employee. It's like 100x faster, better, and all of that stuff. The reason why that was bad positioning is because the product was just falling too short of that. So the second positioning that ended up really working was Zapier of AI. We had the tagline that was like, if Zapier and ChatGPT had a baby. And then we ended up retiring that tagline because we learned, to my surprise, I thought Zapier was like a household brand name. But no, actually, like, a lot of people would like join our website and be like, what the is Zapier? Like, oh, we're actually advertising our biggest competitor on the. So okay, never mind. But I call it the Notion head fake. Like Ivan, I think he calls it like a chocolate covered broccoli, where Notion, obviously, immensely successful company, but it took them a while to be successful. And Notion 1.0 was not successful because it was really putting front and center that vision they had of like these Lego bricks, these building blocks that you can use to build whatever software you want. So it was this weird alien new thing that's hard to understand. Notion 2.0 was a note taker. It was a wiki. You sign up, you see a blinking cursor, you can take notes. Like, oh my God, you know what it is? It's a note taker. Notion is not a note taker. Ivan never set out that was not his vision to build a note taker, right? He wanted to build a no-code app platform. But by pretending it was a note taker, it made it so much more accessible. And he told me, he was like, many founders resist the comparison to things that exist. They're like, because their startup is this one beautiful, unique snowflake. But no, he says you should embrace the comparison. Like, familiar is good. It's alien that's bad. It's confusing that's bad. And being familiar does let you tap into these hooks that exist in people's minds. So Lindy 2.0, Zapier of AI, and even the product looked very similar to Zapier all of a sudden. The 1.0 was more of an alien product, like a new type of thing, like this agent builder. The 2.0 in the current incarnation of the product is this thing where you have these like boxes and arrows. Under the hood, it's a very different thing, actually. It's not a workflow automation platform, it's an agent builder, but it looks very similar.
You got the 30 users. It's not working quite like it's supposed to. You're having these conversations, you're improving the product, you're iterating, all that stuff. And I want to kind of talk about what happened last year when sort of growth really took off. But just kind of describe to me what was going on up until that point, up until about May last year. How much growth were you seeing? What did churn look like?
Until the 2.0, until things started working, it was like middling growth. It was really just like chugging along, like painfully, and like you could tell things weren't working. I really love this quote. I think it's from Mark Andreessen. I forgot who said it. It's like, until you have product market fit, it's like pushing a boulder uphill, and after you have it, it's like chasing the boulder downhill. And at first I misunderstood the quote, because until you have product market fit, you think it's like product market fit is the holy grail, whereas actually it's a pretty mundane thing. It's like every successful business out there has product market fit, and there's a lot of successful businesses out there. So it's like, the holy grail, and once you have it, you're chasing the boulder downhill, and then it's forever after everything is perfect. It's like, no, actually, chasing a boulder downhill is also hard. It's a different type of hard. It's a much better type of hard, but it's hard. It's really hard. And we felt it almost overnight once we had it. And it felt like chasing a boulder downhill. It was like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. Like everything is breaking. Like we have more customers than we can handle. The servers are breaking. Like Google will fix that. Like we're not going to bed tonight. It's like, it's crazy. It's overwhelming. And so for us, that happened once we released Lindy 2.0.
And that was triggered by somebody who kind of came to you back about 5-6 months earlier, asking you how they wanted to use, or at least telling you how they wanted to use Lindy.
Yeah. So we had this moment at some point where the idea of Lindy 2.0 and of Zapier of AI started blooming in our minds. So we started deciding to rebuild the product. We rebuilt it, we released it. And at first we decided not to announce it, which was a mistake. Again, you should make as much noise as possible. You should announce everything possible. We decided not to announce it. We decided to first quietly put it in the hands of users, which even when you say it like this, it's like such weak cheats. Like, oh, let's just quietly. It's like, no, it's just make a splash all the time. So quietly put it in the hands of users. And 5 days after we quietly put it in the hands of users, MattVidPro, he's this YouTube influencer whom I am so very grateful for, picked it up. He was one of these customers who was paying more for the vision than for the actual product, because he could sort of see it. And he was like, he tried Lindy 2.0 and he was like, oh my God, this is awesome. He really liked the new version. And he made a video about it where he was extolling the new product. He was like, oh my God, this is like, I've tried all of them. This is by far the best. These guys have been cooking. And then things really started taking off. And at first we thought it'd just be like a one-time spike, but actually it wasn't. It's just like inflected and forever continued on this trajectory. And it's actually kept accelerating since then.
But what drove you to rebuild the product?
It wasn't working. So there was one time in particular where we had a big prospective customer that we were talking to customers all day, all the time. And there was this one that gave us a list of the exact use cases that they wanted. And it clicked at that moment, because that's when we realized, like, okay, this is actually pretty similar to what we've heard from this and this and that and that and that other customer. And the product today cannot do it. And most importantly, the current plan will not allow the current product to do it. We're very far from that. I think for a very long time we were like overly cavalier. We're like, the model will get better. And we're like, no. This guy needs this to work every single time. And the current paradigm is broken. We need to rethink the paradigm that the product is built over. So that's when it clicked.
And the 2.0 took you about 5 or 6 months to build.
Yeah.
That's a big investment to make. I mean, you said nothing was working, but you still had revenue. You were still doing what, over like 100K MRR around that time?
Yeah, thereabout.
So it's not like, you have no customers and you can do whatever you like. There's still some level of risk and a pretty long time to spend building something, not knowing whether it's going to.
I think that's something I guess I'm like doing a bit different, and I've received positive feedback about it from investors. Perhaps surprisingly, at first I thought they were joking in a bad way. They were like, Flo, like I guess you're never afraid of like just destroying your entire existing business, are you? And I was like, I'm sorry, like they're like, no, it's good, like because look, like nobody is in this game to make $1 million a year. I'm not in this game. Investors are not in this game. Maybe some founders who are listening to us are in this game. You shouldn't be in this game. In a world where like $1 billion a year businesses exist, why would you build a $1 million a year business? You should go after the $1 billion a year business. Like, absolutely. And so I always knew that like the 99.9% of our revenue existed in our future, not our present. And so I eyes on the prize. So yeah, we had this existing customer base. You could first of all, you can look at the metric, but most importantly, you can feel it in your guts. You just know it's not working. And I was like, yeah, like this is not working, and this new vision and version is so much more exciting to all of us, and we feel a lot more optimistic about it. So yeah, we're gonna do that.
And so that was around I think you said October time, and then growth just took off, in large part in thanks to your YouTuber friend Matt, who you do you even know him? He was just like some random dude, right? Who created that video?
I don't know him. I don't even know if I met him. I think I should. Yeah, I think we sent an email like, hey, thanks Matt, but we should have like done a podcast with him or something. We should have sent like a box of chocolates at least or something. Yeah.
And then so things take off, and now you are feeling like you're chasing that boulder downhill. It's growing, and now it's in many ways I've had a founder describe it to me like the train is now really moving fast, but it still feels like the wheels could come off at any minute.
Oh yeah, big time, and they do come off. Yeah, we just yesterday morning we had one of these moments where we're like the wheels are coming off, and actually it was a false alert, but like 8 a.m. some member of the team sends a message like, hey guys, there's this like really bad business situation. Like this metric is way down. Like a business metric is way down week over week. Like we need to jump on it right now. And so war room, everybody jumps in the room together. And so it's like, okay, step one, like there's basically understand and do. There's 2 buckets. So understand, like Jack is his name. Like go look at the data. I want to understand the funnel. I want to understand how the conversion has been trending over time. Like A, B, C, D, E, right? In the meantime, we don't have time to wait for Jack to come back, but do come back to us in like half an hour or 1 hour. And you like go and do. Like we're gonna change this and this and that in the funnel, like right now, And it turns out it was a false alert. Like Jack got back to us 30 or 6 minutes. Like, guys, everything's fine. But anyway, it does feel like the wheels are gonna come out all the time.
The other thing that happened was suddenly you had a lot of competitors kind of come out, into that space, right? So I mean, there have been products out there who are doing some similar things to Lindy. But then also, like, even people who aren't building a product similar to Lindy are using messaging about AI agents that they're building. And so suddenly things get very confusing, I think, in the market, at least for the end user who's like trying to decide, what the hell do I use?
Yeah, I think it's surprising because I compare it to like the universe. You know how there's like literally tens of trillions of stars in the universe, and yet the universe is 99.99% empty space. I think it's the same thing here. It's like there's a lot of AI agents platform out there, and yet when we talk to customers and when we talk to the market and to our users, we don't see them. So, again, I think here the cliche answer is also true. It's like focus on your business, don't focus on your customers.
Yeah, I think that's great. All right, we should wrap up. Let's get into the lightning round. I've got 7 quick fire questions for you. Ready? What's one of the best pieces of business advice you've received?
Build something people want.
What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Every human should read Atlas Shrugged. It's been the most foundational book for me and my personal philosophy. I wouldn't be here in life, or even geographically, I wouldn't be in the US if it wasn't for this book. Why do I recommend it? I recommend it because it puts forth this vision of man and man's mind as a creative force, and it depicts in visceral detail the forces that stand in the way of that force, that creative force.
Well, what's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Unstoppability.
What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Things. The app is like I've been using it for 20 years now. And the habit for me is don't confuse goals and tasks. People are always like there's like this to-do list. I don't care about the to-do list, like the to-goal list. I almost want to call it, right? So I make it a point to have my goals in my to-do list, and I try to look at my goals more than I look at my tasks.
That's nice. I love things as well. I use it. What's a new or crazy business idea you'd love to pursue if you had the time?
I really love the whole charter city movement. Balaji Srinivasan, who's a friend of mine, had this crazy idea that I keep thinking about. It's like let's buy some cruise ships or lease some cruise ships and put them in international waters, and let's build a city on the water. I to this day don't understand why that would not be possible.
What's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I am from a quite poor background, and I moved here to the US 12 years ago after reading Atlas Shrugged, with basically no money, no plan, no job, no network. And I spoke actually very poor English back then. So I had to also ramp that up.
And finally, what's one of your most important passions outside of your work?
Outside of what?
Outside,
what do you mean? What do you mean outside of my work? No, I mean seriously though, I don't. I basically work. That's all I do. I think like you have time enough in your life for 2 things, just 2, and you've got to pick between work, like family, fun, health. I'm sorry to say, learning, friends. That's it. And so it's my work and my family. My family is basically my girlfriend and my cats. And I read, and I try to exercise.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for unwrapping the story and sharing some of your experiences along the way. If people want to check out Lindy, they can go to lindy.ai. And if folks want to get in touch with you,
Flo at lindy.ai, hit me up, and X, ALTIMOR on X.
Awesome. Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. And I wish you and the team the best of success.
Thank you so much, Omar.
My pleasure. Cheers.